wait till the world ends.
Welcome back to Can't Wait Till the World Ends. So much going on. Such a fitting name. You know, I've said this before, but can't wait till the world ends doesn't mean that I'm just looking for a bunch of destruction and death. When the world ends, it begins again. And in a whole lot better way. God remakes it, and this end days prophecy stuff is just a wild ride. And if you are a Christian, you shouldn't be afraid of it. You were appointed to live in a day such as this. So today, I'd like to talk about entertainment. And we've seen a lot of stuff happen recently with Disney, huh? And it wasn't too long ago that Netflix had a lot of controversy for Cuties. If you haven't seen it, you should hop on over to the Babylon Bee and check out their new lineup for Netflix. There's a very good satire on that. Cuties 2, Cutie Patootie. Anyways, a lot of play on words like Cobra Bye. There's not a lot of wholesome, good entertainment that you can watch with your family, especially now that Disney is pushing an agenda. Disney, you know, I don't know if a lot of their stuff to begin with was overly wholesome. You learn lessons from it. There's a lot of witchcraft, a lot of endorsing witchcraft in Disney. That's not the greatest thing for Christians to be consuming, but I think I don't know if I have him right, but Jordan Peterson would talk about how Disney movies were great, how they had a lot of analogy, a lot of they were apocryphal, and they kind of like Voltaire in Candide. They kind of had the hero's journey, and they let a lot of crazy stuff happen and resolve a lot of philosophical issues. And he absolutely hated Frozen, because Frozen was one of the first Disney movies to push an agenda. It was no longer this big mythical working out of extreme, almost random possibilities. It was girl power. It was feminism. So every once in a while you get something that's refreshing in the fact that it doesn't push an agenda, and a particular Sodom and Gomorrah agenda, because we know that this society doesn't just not support the Judeo-Christian nuclear family, husband, wife, child. It says you must accept all other possibilities or we won't tolerate you. The most tolerant side of the political spectrum on the extreme side says you must tolerance, but not if it's what we don't want, then we won't tolerate it. Christians are bigoted and close-minded and intolerant. There's a lot of more on the especially on the more extreme of the LGBT, the T part of it. There's a good book I've mentioned before called Irreversible Damage that talks about just how damaging the transsexual drive is, and then you've got all these things like, and the author that wrote it is very, very pro gay and lesbian, and even transsexual on a very small scale. I'm not saying I endorse any of it. It's clearly wrong biblically, but being wrong biblically doesn't mean that you hate everybody or that you're afraid of them. I never understood the term homophobic. I'm not afraid of homosexuals. They don't cause me fear. I don't cower in the corner and in the closet with a blanket and in total fear that the next Walmart delivery person is going to be a homosexual. No. We're supposed to want all not to die in their sins and not to face destruction, not to, but we're supposed to want all to come to the knowledge of Christ and be saved. The promiscuous person and the homosexual, and that's the comparison I always give for it, because I can work with someone who's gay or trans or anything. I don't have to believe that what they're doing is right. I don't have to believe it's moral. I think it's morally wrong. Almost every class I've taken in higher education wants me to affirm it, wants me to say it out of my mouth, just like the end of 1984. Go read that book if you haven't, where it's not enough just to get you out to cancel you. They have to have you affirm what you know is not right. They have to have you say 2 + 2 is 5. In almost every class I've taken, I got a really bad grade on, actually I got a 0 on assignment. In fact, my total grade, because I refused to do that in an assignment. But if somebody's living a promiscuous lifestyle, I can say, yeah, hey man, I don't agree with that. That's not right. That's a sin. That's wrong because God says it is, and we can't make our own truths. True has been true since the foundation of the world, and electrons can't decide to be protons, and it's a universal truth. Only us, humanity, have the ability to make our own decisions. We can't. We have the knowledge of good and evil, and we can decide to do what we want. So, that being said, there's a lot of push to put this in everything we consume, so that we accept it. So that, just like the Bible says, in this point of days, it'll be like the days of Noah. It'll be like the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, the days of Lot. Which is interesting because, I seen a BBC article that says 12% of, or LGBTQ whatever is represented in 12% of all main characters in all entertainment. So if you just want to watch something with your kids, now you just go to Disney Plus. We unsubscribed as much as we'd like to see Obi-Wan Kenobi live out his life in Tatooine, not as grumpy old hermit. We canceled it because, they stated that they're going to push it. They want I don't know what they're called. The gay choir just put out a big thing a few years ago. We're coming for your children, and they are. So, if you want to check out a good show that's family friendly, I recommend Sweet Tooth. There is some LGBT representation, but it's not forced in your face. YouGov America put out a thing, what people think the statistics are and what the actual demographics are, based on what people think, and they polled, and based on what the Census Bureau says. And people thought that 30% of the country is homosexual, when only 3% or less are. So you see how good entertainment is in warping the minds and giving a false perspective of what our society is. Just like 40 people believed over 40% of America is black when it's less than 13%. It's around 13, 14%, somewhere between 12 and 14%. And if you don't see that represented on the screen, then you're going to think that there is a concerted effort to keep all of these minorities silenced, when there's probably a pretty good representation. You got shows that are doing something about this, like The Wheel of Time, great book series, absolute dumpster fire of a TV series, big budget. The book itself, very inclusive, has all kinds of cultures, and what they did in the series is, instead of showing these cultures in the perspective and light that they would have been, it's kind of like a medieval 1700s mixture of a steampunk magic fantasy thing. It's one of the longest, best written fantasy epics that in American English literature, written by Robert Jordan. He died before he could finish it, finished by Brandon Sanderson, who's pretty progressive. Not a big fan of the guy, and you can definitely tell the change in the writing style when he takes over. But you have all these cultures, and he kind of like mishmashed them. So there's you look at one, you see, hey, that's kind of Asian, that's kind of British mixed together. You look at another one, that's kind of Indian, that's kind of there's like a Native American. Red-haired white people. It's just all mixed up, and there's very black people in it, and it's you really miss it if you don't pay a lot of attention in the book. But it's a real shock to this country, this culture, to see a certain type. There is really dark, like Indian type people that are almost, there's a lot of the more like from India that are very, very dark complected. But then these people come over that nobody's seen the like of them. And I don't want to ruin it from but they already threw it out in the show. But so they're really, really black, and it's very interesting because they have a legal right over the continent. And you're just going to completely miss that aspect of it because they decided to make, these ethnically separated. So they got these little villages that have been separated, and what happens is they kind of look homogenous, and they go out and they become a bigger part, and a lot of people and they become very diverse later on in the series. It's a great, awesome thing. You'd think that this progressive society would like that, but they just go ahead and start it out and mix it all up, and so you miss all of the actual integration, all of the actual melting pot aspect of it. And that's a shame because of our woke culture. Star Trek Picard, first season, I liked it. I know that people think it's not the same Picard, but he's old. He's not a player anymore. He's not that gallant. He's sat back. He's more the philosopher. He's got a lot of experience, and I liked it. They went through the whole thing without pushing woke culture pretty much until the very last scene of the last last minute of the episode, and then they put a whole made canon. Very, very unfortunate. Put the LGBT thing in a Star Trek. I mean, Discovery started on that. They were admitted they were pushing an agenda. They were pushing against nationalism, against Christianity. So that's the Klingons were supposed to represent that. They ruined the Klingons too. Favorite part of any sci-fi anything is the Klingons. They ruined it. So Sweet Tooth is something you can watch with the family, and it's got a lot of suspense, but it's family-friendly suspense. There is some death in it. It's got a lot of, you want to go down the conspiracy theory, rabbit hole. It's got a lot of Nephilim. Well, not Nephilim, but the Book of Giants mixing DNA with humans. It's great. It's got a lot of diversity that you would expect to see in modern entertainment, but it's not forced. It's very natural. And Big Man is probably one of my favorite characters of any series ever. There's a very, very few. I can't even think of some of the ones that I've liked before, but Big Man is awesome, and it's got everything from suspense to humor to very awesome, sci-fi stuff. It's got an environmental twist on it. I don't think it's it starts out in a way that you wouldn't expect towards the end. Also, such good casting and such good characters. Even the main bad guy, General Abbott, he is awesome. He's a little bit Dr. Roboto, Jim Carrey-ish. Not really Jim Carrey-ish, but it's got that was it Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog? Got that kind of appeal to it. Coca-Cola Starlight. Being as nerdy as I can right now. Sci-fi Starlight. Okay, a little bit of fun I'd like to have today. I found my wife told me about this thing that they had. It's coming to Walmart. We didn't think we'd get it at our Walmart, but we did. It's ice cream, and it's macaroni and cheese ice cream. So I'm going to open this up, and I don't have a sweet tooth. Speaking of sweet tooth, I don't have a sweet tooth. Go check it out. It's on Netflix if you have Netflix. Yeah, I just talked about I don't know how, since Cuties came on, we haven't had Netflix. But we decided to go ahead and get 1 month of it and get it all out of our system. So this is our Rumspringa. We're having a Rumspringa. Go ahead, judge, don't judge, whatever. Macaroni and cheese ice cream. I was expecting actual macaronis in it. I don't see any. Very salty. I like macaroni and cheese. I was expecting it to have that, Golden Corral, Velveeta cheese type fluffy. What? It almost tastes like. Yeah, it says Kraft macaroni and cheese. It tastes like you took vanilla ice cream and put Kraft macaroni and cheese seasoning, the packet, in it and mixed it up. And it's not. This is something that could be an acquired taste. Right now, it's displeasing to me, but I can't stop eating it. I can't stop eating it, and it's kind of disgusting. I can't decide if I like it yet or not. It feels like something that's going to make my stomach really sour. Like when you get in the mood for viney sausages, if you ever do get in the mood for viney sausages, and you eat one can, and you're like, I'll have another can, and you eat it, and then you're like, ugh, I shouldn't have ate that. That's nasty. It's like pork's not the cleanest thing to eat in the first place, but that's like that's like what's left over after they process a pig, and they just grind it up, and I don't know. So anyways, gonna keep it short. I'm out of memory card. I got to put a new memory card in. I'm going to be working on a new documentary soon. That's something I'm excited about. It's the kind of things I like to do the most. Just wanted to do an update and talk about entertainment a little bit. Roe versus Wade. Why did I not get into that? Well, that's for another time. Until next time, can't wait till the world ends.